So today is a special session on research and how students can leverage research for their match. And I have Zeba Hasmat and Nandini Seher. Both of us are our students. They did research full-time and they matched. So we are going to discuss, just entirely about research and the USMLE match. So welcome both of you. And we'll start off with the introduction. So Zeba, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Pawan. Hi everyone. I'm Zeba Hashmat. I am from Visakhapatnam in India. And I started my USMLE journey back in 2014 when I first started preparing for the exams. I came to the US in 2015 and I gave my CS. I did observerships for 3 months and I applied for March 2016, but I did not match. Then last year, starting April, I did research for a year and I matched this year in internal medicine. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Zeba. Nandini, over to you.
So, hi, my name is Nandini and I'm from Chennai. I did my medical school in Pondicherry and I graduated in 2013. So my USMLE journey is a very long one, which started then. I prepared for about 6 to 8 months and took all of my steps very, very quickly, faster than I'd wanted to, and then came to the United States in 2014. I actually started off in a research position in 2014. I volunteered for 6 months and I transitioned to a full-time job and then shifted to a different institution. So I've been doing research for almost 2.5 years. And for me, it was harder to get clinical experience in the midst of all of this research. So I took a break of 1 or 2 months in the middle and I did some of that. And I applied in the 2016 match and I didn't match. And I applied again this year and I matched into pediatrics. So that's my story in a gist.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let's cut to the chase. This is the time of the year when a lot of students are going to ask, how do I get a research position? They've heard research is valuable. They've heard, research really makes you different. So how should students go about looking for a research position? Is it like a random email to 1,000 professors, or what has been your experience, Zeba, starting with you?
Okay, so what I did was as soon as I didn't match last year, I started sending out emails to, all the top research places. I sent out emails to Mayo, to Harvard, to UPenn, and to Johns Hopkins. And I kept mailing. That was one thing I did. I sent out I think 200, 250 emails.
Wow.
I also tried to, get in touch with as many people as I could whom in my experience through USMLE the past year had done research, or anyone, you should not, this is not the time to feel shy. This is not the time to feel low. You should just try to be as, try to improvise as much as you can, talk to as many people as you can. They connect you to people. So, and you should do it as soon as possible because right now everyone who didn't match is looking for the same thing that you are. And, so you should really be on that case and by in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, I had a position for research and April 1st, I started my research. So that's something you should really not let go of an opportunity and, not be in 2 minds, should I do this? Should I get clinical? It's research opportunity is rare to come by. If you get it, take it, do your best in it. That's what I would say.
Okay. Very good. Nandini, what was your experience? How to go about research opportunities, how to look for them?
Yes, so my story is a little different. I was always interested in research and I started doing research very, very early in medical school. In the very first year of medical school, I entered into dissertation competitions and stuff like that. So I was always interested in research. So I knew I wanted to go into research and luckily I had family in the area and I looked for research opportunities in the same area because I mean, we have to be able to support ourselves, right? So, so I emailed a bunch of people, and someone responded, and I started off. But it was a voluntary position at first, and paid research is very, very hard to come by. So once I got a footing in the institution, that's when I really tried very hard to get more opportunity. The first opportunity came to me quite easily because my family members, they are also physicians, so they knew someone, but I needed a paid position. So that's when I emailed lots of people in the same institution and I looked for more work. Obviously, I leveraged my previous research experience, so I sent out emails that said, "Hey, I'm from this university, and I've passed all of my exams, and I'm looking for, I'm a residency applicant." Obviously, in the email, I didn't talk about paid research. I was just curious, and I just wanted to look for more opportunity. But luckily, I was offered a paid position, and that's how I could fund the rest of my 2-year journey in residency. There are two schools of thought, basically, of what I've noticed when it comes to research. So the question of whether you want to do research or not is one thing you need to answer. First, the one way to look at it is to think about your scores, and if you have really high scores and if you have contacts in one institution, or if you want to be in a certain area, it's to either stick to one place and try to match in that place, or look for community programs. And in those programs, they don't really care about research. So it's to think about yourself and your profile and where you fit in more. Since so that was one thing. But like Zeba said, the main thing is to be tenacious. Like, you should not be shy, and don't think about your disadvantages when you ask for research. Be a little bold. The thing, I don't have very high scores, but I did contact a lot of people, and they were willing to help. So I think that's the main thing in looking for research. Email as many people as you can, talk to as many people as you can. Literally use every single person you know to find you an opportunity, and it works actually.
Yep.
I've seen it.
Okay.
So
now, let's move on and talk about outcomes from research. So obviously in 1 month, if people get a 1-month position, that's not going to cut it. What outcomes should, ideally, of course, is a manuscript, but if someone doesn't get a published paper or things like that in, say, 3 to 4 months, what are some of the outcomes that students should be looking to get? Teamwork, statistical tools, what should they be looking to learn from a research stint if publication is not possible? So, Zeva?
Okay, so from research, I think what people should first do is most IMGs, they get into the kind of research positions which, I hear at least is like data entry or more of data analysis. And I think the first mindset that people should not be in is to look down upon it, like, okay, I'm just doing this, what's the, like, I'm just entering data, or I'm just, drawing circles or something like that. And I think you should really, like, I mean, I worked in cardiac MRI segmentation, so people say that, about contouring the MRI, drawing circles and stuff like that. So it really, you shouldn't, think like that. You should really like what you're doing, and as and when you work really hard in your research, you can get the most out of it. Like, for example, I would, if you work really hard, my mentor was really impressed, and I got to present a poster at a conference, in a cardiology conference, and I got a lot of abstracts out of the research. I got one publication, and I got a good letter of recommendation, and I got answers to some of my interview questions, like how do you deal with the conflict with a colleague? How do you deal, give me an example of teamwork. What did you, like, how do you work well in, group setting? Tell me an example where you led the team or managed the team. So these are answers that I got out of my 1 year of research experience. So I think you should really make the most out of it. I mean, not look down upon what you're doing. And I think if you work really hard and supervisors and mentors really get impressed. I mean, here people are very, they value hard work. And I think if you put in that, you can get all of these out of it. And yeah, I think that's what students should do. Yeah.
Okay. Nandini, what do you think? What should students try to get out of if publication is not possible? Like a manuscript is not possible.
Yeah, tangible outcomes are publications, of course. Like I got a lot of publications, like Zeba said, and I got to actually go to an international conference as well. Contacts from research. But there are other benefits of research as well. So if you work really hard, you can get a paid position, and that's very, very valuable in our scenario. Because it's so expensive to go through the match process. Another thing is you get a lot of contacts who will help you. I have fellow research assistants and fellow research interns who worked with me throughout these 2 years, and we are still friends. And I've given them my CVs. They've helped me in their institutes getting interviews and things like that. Another thing was skills. There's no denying that you learn a lot of skills. Even if it's just data entry, you learn to work with a medical record system. And I sort of, that's what I used in every research experience. So my first experience, it was just pure data entry. And honestly, after 6 months, I couldn't do it anymore. So that's why I looked for other positions. But my next research position was slightly more complex. Like I worked on clinical trials, drug trials, and then the position that I got after that, I worked on animal experiments, and it gets more complex. So the thing to do is to use whatever experience you have and then sell that, and then you will be in a better position to get what you want in due course. So you do get a lot of skills. Data entry is not just data entry like people think it is. You can always work with the research fellows, and you can learn a lot of statistics. You can write papers, and you can publish manuscripts. Even if you're not the first author, you still learn a lot. So I think research is a great thing.
Okay. So now let's get to the CV and the interview type of phase. So you go to an interview, and there are questions around. Okay, tell me what are you doing in research, right? And you may get an interviewer who is not related to your field. So Zeba, what kind of questions do they typically ask when they see a research CV? And how do you respond to such questions without, going through the abstract of your paper to someone who may not be from your field? So what kind of questions did you get?
So the questions that I got was, it's like generally a broad question. Tell me more about your research. And so you can shape that answer however you want to. And the first thing is to be as clear and as simple as possible. So I started off with, introducing where I do my research and how long I've been there. And, give a very broad perspective about what you're doing. And then you can narrow down into what your role in that project was. So tell them about your team, tell them about your project, and tell them about what your role was in the project. And lastly, but surely, tell them what the outcome was, how it helped you, and what all you learned from it, and how that is going to help you in residency. So that is basically the 90-second thing that I did every time they asked me, tell me more about research. It was very well practiced, fluent. It was, if they didn't ask, if they didn't have any questions, that was great. If they did, they would only ask more about, I would mention I presented a poster, they would ask me what that was about or any other doubts. If they have, they will ask you and you can expand upon it. But initially, make sure to not confuse them and give them a broad but clear idea about what you're doing with related to research.
Okay. And Nandini, what was your experience? I'm sorry. What was your experience in terms of interviewing and the type of questions you got and things like that?
So one question I universally got was, tell me about your research, which I'm sure anyone who does research will get that question eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yes.
trick to that is assume that the interviewer knows nothing about anything that you're doing. So
Yes.
yeah, you should explain it. I explained it to non-medicals. I actually explained it to my roommates who were computer engineers just to see if they could understand. And if anyone can understand it, then your interviewer will get it. So I think that's the trick, because they don't want you to use. Most likely they're not going to be in your field, and most likely they're probably in. They might be doing research. They might not even be doing research. So it's not smart to really talk about the data analytics part of it and like the statistics part of it. It's just, you just need to tell them a basic idea of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how it will help you. So that's all there is to it. And since I had a lot of research, I gave them like a broad classification of the things that I was doing. And if someone said, oh, are you really working on clinical trials? And then I talk about that. So I'd hand it all to them on a platter, and whichever they picked, I would talk about it. So
Okay.
that's what I did.
Yeah, yeah. So another question a lot of people have, a lot of students will have, okay, I'm applying to, or I'm going to a community program interview versus a university program interview. Should I undersell my research or, not undersell my research, those kind of things, right? So Zeva, you interviewed at both places. What was did you customize your research responses based on the program?
I did not customize my research answer. I mean, if they ask me about my research, it would be the same answer. But
Okay.
in my interview experience, regardless of community or a university program, if that program in their program structure has focus on research, they would ask me about it. For example,
Okay.
I interviewed at Howard University, which is a university hospital, but they are not that big on research. So the program director interviewed me, but he didn't really ask me about research. But at the same time, when I interviewed at community hospitals who had, research electives or who would like the residents to do research, they would ask me questions, detailed questions about my research. So I didn't have the need, at least in my interviews, to like downplay my research. Only in where like my future or what my future plans are, with regards to that, if the program didn't have research, I would, not focus on that area when I'm answering my future plans. But when they asked about my research, I never downplayed it.
Yeah. Okay. Nandini, what about you? Did you have different strategies for, such programs?
Yes, actually. So last year when I didn't match the previous year, this was a mistake that I kind of made. So since I had so much research and I interviewed at community programs, they universally asked me, oh, so you're doing all of this research, our program doesn't have any of this. Your profile looks like it would suit a university, and I couldn't handle that question that year very well. So this year what I did was, in the university interviews, I talked freely about my research and everything, but in the community interviews, I didn't downplay it. I told them I've done all of this, but I followed it up with, okay, this is how I can use it in my residency. So this has taught me how to like talk to patients or like work with medical record or whatever. I worked in a large team or something like that. So I would always follow it up with how it would help me in a residency. So before they could ask me that question, I would just talk about it.
Okay, very good. Zeva, we've asked obviously Nandini this question, but how was our team able to help you frame your responses, especially the research responses, the WhatsApp group? How did you benefit from our team?
Okay, so I think it really was beneficial to me being in Sathi, because being in this group, it was it really motivated me to, work towards my answers. The first time I applied, I was just by myself. I didn't have any feedback or I didn't rather take any feedback as to how my answers are, what exactly is supposed to be there in the answers, what the significance of, doing really well in an interview is. So all that I got this year, and like Sathi always helped me make my answers better. There's always a feedback. You were always reachable, and forming groups also gave me feedback. Mock interviews gave me feedback, and I had a lot to work with. All those points I could accumulate in my answers and bring out the best answers. So I think that way it was really motivating, and it was very beneficial to performing better in like overall during the match process. So yeah, that was really good.
Okay, good. So Nandini, I know you've already answered this, so I'm not going to ask you to repeat it. But I want you to close it with, say, someone now looking for, 2018 match, looking for a research position, may have it, may not have it. What are your tips for the next 6 months for research-focused kind of guys and gals? What do they do?
So I think the most important thing that they should do is start immediately and email as many people as you can. Try to make sure it's somewhat relevant to your CV. Like if someone has cardiology or something, or if someone has a focus on cardiology or internal medicine, like don't get research in something that's completely unrelated, because if you have different things on your CV, it's very hard to explain. If you're interested in pediatrics, just go for pediatrics research. Don't like deviate and then think, okay, my scores don't suit internal medicine, so I'm going to apply for pediatrics, but then I'm going to do internal medicine research, or like try to figure out where your profile is and try to go in that direction, because anything is possible. I don't think that, first it should be possible in your mind, right? Don't think that you cannot get this position or this is not possible. Be sure to email as many people as you can, use everything you've got, and you'll be able to find a position. Once you're in research, don't think of it as big work, small work. Anything is work, and anywhere you can learn, and just make the best use of it. Talk to as many people as you can when you join, and try to be more inquisitive and learn from your superiors, and actually ask for their help. Don't feel shy to ask for help. Don't feel shy to ask for more work. If you feel that you're not satisfied with your data entry, you can talk to your mentor and say, please give me this work and please help me do this, because they will be eager to help someone who's eager to learn. So don't be shy. Like take initiative, and it'll be fine. If you want, I've even talked to my mentors about doing clinical rotations while I was doing my research. Some people may not encourage that, but a lot of people will tell you, okay, when I'm seeing my patients, you can always shadow me. And then you can talk about it in your interviews. It will not be like you're completely out of touch with the clinics as well. I did that. And that's all I can think of.
Very good, very good. Yeah. And Zeva, any closing thoughts from you?
Regarding research, definitely, like, Nandini has said, definitely take initiative. It's really appreciated. The more work you can do, the more work you take on, the more better you do. They really, they notice things. Your mentors, your supervisors, they're always noticing things. And if you are really curious, if you ask the right questions, if you are eager and, not afraid to make mistakes, then they really appreciate that. And I think that will help you, develop a good relationship with your mentor. That in turn, materializes into outcomes like good letters of recommendation or phone calls even, or, posters, publications, whatever. So be active, be proactive, take initiative, and, give in your best. Don't, nothing is small work, nothing is awesome work. It's just your work, do it well, and just leverage on that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And so thank you both of you, Zeva and Nandini. Much appreciate. And of course, congratulations once again. And all the best for the new phase in your life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.